Fields, James Gunter, welcome.
Thank
And welcome co-chair Edward Isom, Chair Ron Singleton, staff. And welcome you all. First item on the agenda, approval of the minutes from the 18th, 2023. Board members, committee members have anything on the minutes from last one? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the public hearing for 2028 Park Aeration Plan. Mr. Manager, you want to introduce?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have our experts in the audience here from Albert Marsh, who put this plan together. It's critical for us to have a parks and recreation plan so that we'll be able to go for funding. And also it's a part of the master plan. I'll just turn it on to Jason.
Take the desk there.
Hi, I'm Joelle Regovich with Abbott Marsh Consultants, and I've been part of the process to help develop the Parks and Recreation Plan for the city of Benton Harbor. And in order to comply with DNR requirements, they have certain steps that are required. And one of them is to get, to have a public hearing to get public comment on the Park and Recreation Plan. So this has been available for the public to review and comment on since November 15th. Comments were to be sent to the city clerk. I don't believe any have been received. So this is like the kind of like last time for people to weigh in on the plan to see if they have any comments they want to share to be incorporated into the plan before it's accepted by commission. So that's the point of the public hearing.
So how long would, after this public hearing, do they have to get the comments in?
So at the end of the night, we would close the public hearing. Any comments would be incorporated into the plan, reflected in the plan, noted in the plan. And then the next step is to go to commission to accept the plan.
All right. Briefly, is it, we need to go through the plan there? Any highlights that you want to?
So essentially, the plan is a reflection of public outreach that started in June. Team Solutions, kind of led by Princella Tobias, went to many of the parks in the communities and had just social events where she got comments and feedback through various surveys that were handed out to residents on, what they liked about parks, what they would like to see developed in parks. And the plan has a summary of all those comments and feedback in the back of it. And then in the draft plan that was presented to the community to review are like the list, the summary of all the comments that were received, kind of like as a goal and action of what to do for the future with Parks and Recreation. So I can go through a high level review of those. But in general, the main goals are update equipment, add more ways to just passively enjoy the parks, add events at the parks, enhance the Ox Creek corridor, add safety and security at parks, maintain the parks, provide more ADA access at the parks, add more ways to enjoy the river and lake, find ways to link the parks to residents with trails or sidewalks, explore funding to improve the parks, and then just increase awareness of park locations and add more spaces if possible. So that's kind of the high level goals for the plan.
The one park in particular I want to highlight is going to be the Ox Ox Creek Park. Mr. Little, I can tell you chopping at the bit to tell them about it.
Certainly the plan addresses all the parks, and as Mr. Mitchell said, the Hall Park, which is associated with the Ox Creek redevelopment, and other components that are expected to ultimately be added to that would be a part of this. Most importantly, without a 5-year recreation plan, the city's not eligible to receive a lot of the recreation money that's available through DNR. You haven't gotten it for several years now for a couple of reasons. One of them still stands, and we're working on that. And that is eliminating a problem that developed with the emergency managers when they did a mediation plan that provided several sites in the downtown area to supposedly offset land that was being used where funding had been provided from the federal and state government in Gene Clark Park. One of those sites happened to be right where the building was put here for the dialysis, yes. And by doing that, we violated that mediation agreement, and until we can satisfy the feds of the state with that, we're not eligible, but this is the other component.
Anything else?
So yeah, we're just inviting comment from the public.
Okay, so, quickly, yeah. Go ahead.
So
Okay.
the highlight that you gave were the different things that were suggested. I know, our friend always references a bathroom area for, so you have that already for, the river. Yarborough Park. So like river, maybe even some kind of like water access, I know that has been referenced, and that is a very frequented park, so bathrooms would be.
Yeah, so we kept it kind of broad strokes. So we say just in general to add bathrooms at parks. So that way you have a lot more flexibility in a grant application to just pick any park and, say, this is the one I want to add bathrooms at. So it's kind of that approach.
Speak a little bit into the mic. Directly.
Sorry.
I heard you though, so, okay, that was my question.
Is there a timeline?
So the recreation plan has to be submitted by February 1st. If the city wants to apply for grants this year, those due dates are April 1st. And then they make decisions in December, and so you can start like next year on projects if you're awarded.
Will there be more engagement in regards to what in particular will be done, or the only engagement was now?
No, so if you were starting to apply for a certain project, then yeah, there would be another layer of community engagement to get feedback on that particular project.
Kind of like a moving.
Yeah, so this is just like an overall kind of like guideline. Hey, we've identified some things that we'd like to work on, and then start to tackle each project one by one, find the funding, get it implemented, move on to the next one kind of thing.
Yes, thank you, Alvin Chair. So the maintenance of the park now, so you have a plan for each and every park to stay maintained.
That is a goal. Yeah, so to develop that, yeah.
So one more question to the city manager too, that exercise thing we got, is this?
Priority health. Did we work priority health into the plan?
So that's like one of the very broad things
Yeah,
that is like incorporated into the goals.
We did?
Yep, so we're gonna have to find a new location.
Okay.
Commissioner Henry.
I'd like to know, I know every 5 years we're supposed to upgrade our parks and recs plan, and we haven't done it, but we were allowed to use a community block grant, and there is a park and rec plan, and I know this is quite different in size, but my question is, how much difference is the community block grant Parks and Rec plan compared to this one? And how much is Ox Creek, that's my second question, included in this parks plan?
The important thing for us to understand is, like Mr. Mitchell said about the master plan. This is more or less a master plan of parks. And essentially what that means is we outline and design the scope of interest that the community has in various recreational activities, goals, and objectives, and so forth. All of it may not get done, all of it may. Parts may occur at different times in order, and a lot of it, most all of it, depends on the availability of funding for doing certain things. Now, for instance, I just started working a couple of weeks ago on that maintenance issue, because remember, we have also a major corporate citizen, Whirlpool, that's assisting us with some of these parks. We had specifically requested in the Yarborough Park plan that they consider adding bathrooms and a fish cleaning station. And they basically, fish cleaning station. And they basically asked, you tell us how you're going to maintain those. We don't want to spend money on it if you're not going to have it open, like the situation you've got at Union Park. You've got a bathroom there, but it's not open. And largely it's because you don't have any setup to maintain it. The city is still struggling with the funding necessary to be able to carry on and do those things. But we're working at all of these things from different angles, and something that we might have thought might occur 4 years out, we might get lucky and may occur in 6 months. Or something we hope would happen in 6 months may wind up being 2.5 years out, depending on when the funds and so forth are available. But by having this, it encompasses it. It shows that there has been community input into it and so forth. It makes it eligible when the opportunity comes along for funding to be able to get it.
Without it, zero. Without a plan.
Without a plan, it's zilch. You don't get it.
Is there any difference in the two plans? Is there any difference in the two plans? How much difference is there in it?
Which two plans?
Community block grant, Parks and Rec?
The community block grant right now doesn't have a park and rec plan in it.
You had one last year.
Oh, only the employee, the young people working in it. That was all. There was nothing else in there, in Parks and Rec.
Well, I don't know what I read. I guess I went on a trip and didn't come back, but I read another document, so that's all right. We won't need to talk about it. We got something new. Is Ox Creek a great portion of this park? How much is Ox Creek project in this?
So
Is it broad like the rest of it?
Mhm.
Or is it centralized that it's gonna be Ox Creek?
It was broad
Yeah.
because even.
Well, she called broad
Yeah.
2 or 3 times, and
Sure.
I understood that.
Yeah.
But I'm asking now, is Ox Creek in the broad, or is it more specific information about Ox Creek?
So it's listed as one of the goals is to develop the Ox Creek corridor. So that's the goal.
That's just broad, like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then I want to bring to one attention, I did kind of peruse this on this little bitty thing that they call tablet, but you did a great job on documenting who you spoke with. But if you look at who you spoke with and the amount of residents that you actually spoke with, it's very low. So look at the report and kind of judge is this report giving us a general of the real people in Benton Harbor? So I'll just bring that to your attention and leave it there. Thank you.
I mentioned one other thing. I think it's important because I realized a few weeks ago when the commissioner said something about a special master plan for Ox Creek. I realized a little later what she was talking about. There is a county master plan for trails, and it incorporates our plan for putting a bike path and walkway along Ox Creek out to Benton Township all the way downtown. That also works in concert with what else we're doing here, but it's not a separate master plan for that. It's for the whole county and just simply shows how we plan to tie the one that we're designing for there into the rest of the trail system.
Commissioner Clark.
First of all, I need to know, is this part, because I was under the impression it's a public hearing, is this part of, it's just open?
This is public hearing.
Okay, so how many minutes I got? Because I got quite a bit. 3?
Three. But
Can I ask that I don't be interrupted too, because I know last time, and, because I'm gonna reclaim my time. Okay,
Clock ticks.
okay, so first of all, what did you say?
Clock ticket.
Oh, okay. You just interrupted. Thank you for reclaiming my time. Thank you. Okay, first of all, I like to see, I saw that you're talking about possibly having bathrooms and stuff. I would like to see bathrooms in all the parks, bathroom, porta potties or something. I think it might be a IOSHA violation not to have one, in every park. As far as the armory, all I seen in the plan was about elevators, and it was bathrooms, but we still need to talk about teen centers, family events, senior events, and that was a community center. And for years, we was on the pressure, we was given that it was closed because there's nowhere to run, nobody to run it. But when I seen today, it said it closed in 2009 because of a heating problem. That could have been fixed. So, Edgecombe Park, I see it finally made it in the plan. Thank you. And then I saw about maybe trying to repair the equipment there, but I would like to see all new equipment. Playground, that park probably in 3 decades haven't had new equipment, but everybody around them, all the parks around them is getting it. So I would like to see new equipment, and I would like ADA accessible picnic tables, grills, bathroom or pavilion. It could be open. And I'd like to see flowers. I like to see it pretty there too. And my time is ticking, so I'm trying to hurry up. Pete Mitchell Park, I saw that it was a site. It had all kinds of stuff that's been there listed, but no Juneteenth. This is our 5th year doing the parade and celebration. Everything in there, even stuff to come. To me, that is a disrespect. We've earned that. Everything around is in there, but not that. Especially considering 83.1% of Benton Harbor is African American, which out of 9,103 presidents, 7,569 is African American. And that's us celebrating us. So I would like to see that added too, either add that or omit the other that's in there. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else from the? Mr. Rappers?
Just naming, Edgecombe Park was just mentioned. It's mentioned in the report as Edgecombe/Edwards. I think a review of what the actual names are should be done.
Yeah.
I think that's the case with a few
Yeah.
things in the report.
Mr. Clark? Miguel? Anybody else? Mr. Duncan?
I didn't hear a word about hot running water in a lot of these parks. There is no water running in a lot of these parks. If you don't understand that or something. So in the plan, that should be number one. On the river, It should be hot water and something to clean the fish. But you should say there's gonna be some water, drinking water down there. And then talk about the water for cleaning the fish. You pretty much ran everybody off the river for fishing because of a lot of things you wouldn't do, couldn't do, shouldn't do. And it's embarrassing, but I don't know how to embarrass you enough. So she didn't help us. Thanks.
Anybody else before I give the Clark Griffin her commission? Go ahead.
Okay, I forgot too, Jean Clark Park. The bathrooms are atrocious. I was out there for an event and I was embarrassed. Actually 2 events. I was out there, one for the Blues Fest and the other one was for my class reunion. We both events had people from all over and it was just shameful. And while we was out there on the pavilion, a part fell down and almost hit the drummer. Could have been a lawsuit or anything. So I know we already voted for a grant. We voted for a grant for Hall Park. We voted for a grant for Jean Clark Park and the Armory. So what are we waiting on? We already approved the grant last year. I think it was early last year. So what are we waiting on getting it started? Oh, please don't interrupt me. Thank you. Also, yeah, the bathroom, the pavilion, it needs fixing because there's other spots that needs to be fixed. It was cracks when I was out there in the walkway. I did email the city manager. Some of them got fixed, the bigger one, because some of them was big enough to put your feet in it, which was really dangerous. So, but it's a lot of work. And like I said, the grants are approved. We going into almost a year since they've been approved. What are we waiting on? What are we waiting on with the Army? What are we waiting on with Jean Clark Park? What are we waiting on with Hall Park? You know, everything's been approved. We voted. Let's get it done. What are we waiting on? I like to see a lot of this stuff take preference over a lot of this other stuff just added in there on all those pages. A lot of stuff is just not even to me necessary, but these things are. And we're talking about our parks and we're talking about safety issues also. Thank you.
I do have some information on a couple of those applications. So the Armory grant, they haven't released the results yet, the grant awards on that. They're expecting this spring to notify applicants. And then the city applied for both the Hall Park and the Jean Clark Park grant in the same Spark Ground, but one was awarded and that was for Hall Park. And so there's a second round now that's due the end of this month that they're applying for Jean Clark Park again to help with those improvements.
And just to make sure we're clear, approval by the commission doesn't mean that we've gotten the grant. Not until we've gotten the award that we have the money.
Almost a year ago. What we waiting on?
The money.
It should be approved by now. We approved it. What we waiting on to get it?
And we approved it.
And a lot of stuff come to us like it's already approved when we vote on it. Then we vote on it. Then they say, well, we're waiting on it. Or we gotta do that. Come on now, which one is it?
We approved to apply for the grant, but we haven't been awarded the grant. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct, yeah. Hall Park has been awarded, but not the other two yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So. All right.
I had a question.
Next question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm sure this hearing was planned like well in advance, but since there is a separate committee now for parks, will residents have an opportunity to speak? I mean, to, voice their opinion or be given another chance to voice their opinion in that committee before this happens?
We could do February.
When is this?
Yeah, so I don't think we have it lined up to meet the deadline.
And that's one of the reasons why we kept it on this committee, because
Yeah.
we did have it previously published and scheduled when it was the Parks Committee.
Yeah.
Because Parks meeting the fourth Wednesday doesn't give the commission enough time to pass it to get it in before February.
And my follow-up to that question is, even after February 1st, when we proceed with the application, is there any chance for residents to like give their, feedback that can be taken into consideration after the grant is received and when the grant is received?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the DNR it's a big supporter of public input, developing the projects. So yeah, they embrace people sharing their thoughts and incorporating it into projects that grant applications are submitted for.
And I would even suggest that we be like very intentional about like making that space available for people to do that. Because even this, as much as I didn't hear about this hearing. So I didn't know that this would be a part of it until I saw the agenda. So I can only imagine what, other people that may want to voice their concerns will be thinking. So.
This was in regards to the, because she explained that they applied for the Hull Park and Gene Clark. Gene Clark Park was granted Hull Park, but not Gene Clark Park, but they're applying for another one that's due at the end of January. I have shared the survey and actually have taken it to the high school, where I was explaining some different events. And so I can share that with the city clerk so she can share it out again, but it is allowing the viewing of the drafts that Arbor March has set up for the renovations for the playground, as well as repairs to the bathroom and the pavilion area, even the bench that's there. So I can share that so the commissioners can share it, because they don't have to show up. They can do it online as well. So that works. I mean, I went to different events to present the survey. We actually, I love that it would involve the youth. So at the high school, it was like 100 kids that did the survey. And they're big on input from residents. They want that prior to submitting it, just like how Tobias was at every event asking, literally put the paper in your face, ask you to say, what would you like? And it wasn't scripted, it wasn't open-ended, and you could write a lot, like I think I wrote in the front and the back. So that time was allotted for, and then everything tonight will be included.
Yeah, the minutes are included. Yeah.
So, thanks.
Any further public comments on the public hearing? Thank you. This portion of the public hearing is closed. Next item on the agenda, Department of Public Safety reports. Director McGinnis.
They lighting up in here. All right, two guys walked into a bar.
Don't start.
You man, what's up? So for the actual report, we got a lot, as always. There's a lot that we have that we're working on to go over, et cetera. So I really need to get to this portion as far as the reorganization of code compliance. I will. Yeah, I'm gonna try to. I don't know if I want to sit here or go back here. I'm not sure. You know what? All right. All right. So you have the report. Again, for the sake of time, I'm going to be talking fast. I'm going to use Commissioner Griffin's line. Don't interrupt me. So this year, we would really want to do end of year comparison report. At this point, for our time, it would almost be like a hobby. But we're seeing not just an elevation over the last 3 years of fire, of police complaints, but also fire. So we haven't really dug into the weeds on why we're seeing that. So we're having we've had an increase in police calls, both police and fire, with a diminished staff. we're still meeting them. So I want to give my guys and gals credit because we're short, as you know. We've got about 7 openings. We don't make excuses and we still get it done. So that is that. Again, you have your report for you. I do want to speak again very quickly about the ISO rating. I mentioned it Monday. I want him to explain how significant that is, how far we've come. Down there was 6 to almost 3. We're a little disappointed we didn't get down to 2, I should say, but we think we'll get there. So he's got 30 seconds, 4 sentences.
I don't know if I can do it that quick, but we were almost a 6 in our ISO rating, and that is what governs insurance, specifically insurance for commercial properties, but residential properties are affected as well, just not as much of a savings. So to go from almost a 6 to almost a 2, just barely a 3, is a significant jump. Most places can only jump 1 rating at a time. We jumped almost 3 ratings in 1 rating session, which is basically unheard of. So we're very proud of that. It will be a significant savings to our property owners in town. And they'll start to see that in about 6 months. It takes, so we got the rating in January. It will be posted by where insurance companies start to use it in July.
So when we say we're the best fire service around, we got data and out of proof. Right.
Can I add a little caveat to that? I got a little war story I want to tell though, but I think it sums up our department. Last Tuesday, we responded mutual aid to St. Joseph Township on Colfax near Nickerson for a house fire. We had 9 Benton Harbor firefighters on the scene before any other fire department got there. 9 firefighters inside that building fighting the fire. The only reason we were called is our truck happened to be in the area at the time. And afterwards, I asked the question to their fire chief, why are we not called here initially? And they said, well, we'd never get to put out our own fire if we called you guys all the time. I think that's kind of sad for them to say, but I think it's a huge win for our department to have 9 people, no matter where we go, on the scene within about 5 minutes. So, and we can obviously, if it's our own fire, we put way more than that, but just a huge win for us, the way I look at that.
Those 9 consisted of how, I know we're talking about short staffing, but those are like reserves or
part-time firefighters, the daytime staff that's here, admin. We still had 2 police officers on the street and 2 firefighters in the station while we had 9 people there fighting the fire. So, I mean, the city was covered as well as the fire.
So that's kind of where we are. So we're very happy about that. We're looking forward to the next review to get to that 2. So again, very pleased. Budget-wise, you see we're operating under expenditures as we try to be very conservative with the city coffers. We had one of our own that graduated from Police Academy. He's doing very well. 2 more set to go here in a couple of weeks. If there are any questions in relation to grants, we always have on our page an update. And if you see a grant that comes from public safety to the commission, that means we've awarded it and it's coming. We don't kind of apply to apply. So that is that. I would, Commissioner, I guess entertain any questions on this, or I'm not sure how we're doing with this new agenda.
Okay. Got any comments on the report?
I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
You want anything?
Also,
What? Yeah. You sick too. All right, so here's what I really would like to talk about, what we're going to get into is a reorganization of code compliance. So there, we got a lot going on there, and having dived in this last year, I didn't realize the level of inoperability that we operated in. As you all know, I'm very transparent. If you do things well, I'm saying it. If you don't do things well, I'm saying it. That's the right thing to do. You've heard us talk throughout 2023 of starting to get things in place. I believe that is happening. And I think we're at a point now where there needs to be a structural change for many reasons, which we'll talk about. When we talk fast, this is a horrible PowerPoint. So please don't look at this as an indication of my skills. It's awful. But I want to share with you what our plan is, because quite honestly, the last year, the majority of our complaints that come in from residents are 95%, 90%, something related to code compliance, structures, A-bands, tires, all that light, and we haven't really been handling very well. Partly we have been short-staffed there. This is going to help alleviate that, which I want to share with you now. So, and I think Mr. Mitchell can attest to that because he has a spreadsheet. Ronan has a spreadsheet of his predominantly things that we have to deal with. And quite honestly, we haven't been successful in dealing with them. We're going to do better. So the reorganization of the Division of Code Compliance, what we're going to do is, first of all, turn on Guinness, is, yeah, I don't have to turn the lights on. I don't even see it. So, no, I can't see it. I mean, it's up to the citizens. So why, Trey Tales, Guinness talking about this per se? Unfortunately, Department of Public Safety is actually police, fire, and code compliance. Remember back in September of 2017, we changed the lane from Division of Code Enforcement to Code Compliance. That's why I'm talking about it. I'd rather not be, but it is what it is. So here's what we're doing as far as structure. What we are trying to do is add administrative structure so that we can be more efficient from top to bottom. So what we have done, or what we are in the process of doing, Fire Marshal Kazmarzik, who has done all these great things to get us where we are. We didn't talk about the Ben Harbor Training Academy that's still going on. He runs that. Again, we train, literally now Ben Harbor firefighters train other departments around the country. We'll be clear on it. We're moving him from Fire Marshal back to the position of Deputy Director of Fire, which we used to have back when Phelps was here. But he's going to basically absorb a lot of this headache for me, but administratively be able to kind of give direction and deployment for that on a day-to-day basis. You see, the Code Compliance Department is kind of basically, again, this is Cliff Note version, kind of two parts. You actually see the building department, which is the building official who actually runs that department. That person, which we're going to meet here shortly, does what he does, as well as keeps up with the electrical inspector, mechanical inspector, zoning administrator, etc. Now, we don't actually have a mechanical inspector, but we're hoping to get that back. Once we get the building department solidified, the first thing we had to do was get somebody in that with solid experience, state certified, and I believe that they are been sitting here by the Lord. I let them tell you that, that's on them. But I believe that. So we have somebody that's coming in to help shore up that building department because we have not been operating very, very efficiently with CD to work together. So we're going to bridge that gap, be more efficient, do things that way. On the code enforcement side, this is where all our complaints come in from residents, because as the way it stands now, we only have two. We got Chief Bruce and we have Darlene. Well, we got way more than a lot going on. So we're not able to necessarily get out and do as we would want. So what we are doing, and let me say this is a reorganization. This is already budgeted. We're not adding money. We're not requesting the city increase our budget. Things were already budgeted, and again, I'm really good at moving things around. So we're just kind of taking it from one pot, putting it to another, okay? So not costing us anything. So what we're going to go to is a new model. We are basically absorbing the code compliance department in the fire. It'll still by charter be its own division, but we'll bring that into fire. Why is that? We'll get to that in a second.
Can I stop you just a moment? I have to interrupt you.
Don't interrupt me.
And that is to say, he says that there is a savings. Actually, we're going to be able to capture more revenue.
Yes. So, Merce Bruce, who's the Chief Code Compliance Officer, he will become the Chief Code Investigator. We're going to get him into his space where he exceeds and does really well. If you recall, was that about 4 years ago, where he had 30 arrests for dumping and a number of tickets. He will liaison with Eagle or Laura in specific cases, certain things where we have a high level of, say, violations. He'll specialize in doing those things. And he'll still do regular things. But when it comes down to it, we got to stick somebody on a particular issue, i.e. Tyler Heaven, he's the guy. So he'll operate, he'll slightly change from chief code compliance officer to chief code investigator. Now we're going to be adding, again, this is already budgeted, 2 full-time firefighters that we are now taking, drawing up, going back to the drawing board and taking those job descriptions and requiring code enforcement officials also be firefighters. So I'm going to get to that in a second. So the firefighter / code officers, which automatically increases our numbers from 2 to maybe 5, because we still have 1 civilian there. We're trying to kind of get with the union and see what we can do as far as getting her out of one into another. And these will have their own certifications that go with them. So we still have 1 civilian code enforcement officer that will still help with that. That's 4. In addition, we have the part-time fire guys that work during the day. It's usually like no less than 1, but 2. With that, now we have every day, 7 days a week now, because for you guys living in Harbor, you guys know, y'all see a lot of pickup trucks and flats of roof shingles on Saturdays and Sundays. And you know that's not right. So we'll have guys out patrolling, and they'll be able to ascertain if those instances are going on. So now it gives us the ability, one of the advantages of 7 days a week execution. So rationale, we want to increase the personnel numbers of the inspectors. We just talked about that. Better trained and qualified inspectors. And I'll come back to that. Better organization and efficiency to meet issues. We're not doing a good job of meeting issues. We're going to do better. Increase enforcement to a 7-day per week, which I just said. Increase life safety for city residents, which kind of goes to 2. And more efficient coordination with CD, because he's got projects too that he needs us to be able to be effective. And more efficiently meet the goals and standards of the commission and the community. So when we say better trained and qualified / life safety, we believe that adding the expertise of a firefighter will be able to maybe see some things inside of a home for inspection that maybe a regular civilian may not have seen. That comes from years of experience. Where the 2 guys we're adding together have 51 years of fire training or fire experience, 51 years between the both of them. So, you know, you might look at a wire and say, it's a wire. We might look at it a different way or look at an outlet. So we think that will help to be more effective in the inspections, as well as to be able to ferret out possible life safety issues. And now we get unleash Tyler on them from him to go in there and see if we're right or wrong and start the process of remediating issues. We want compliance. So we believe that we will be better suited to protect residents' lives simply by inspections. So we feel very strongly about that. We talked about it, I think, a month or 2 ago about, although we've done a great job as fire service, our failures were up. Here's a way to try to help with that particular issue. We'll keep doing our thing with fire safety. So again, it's a terrible PowerPoint. Divisions of responsibility. So I myself, the director, I'll do kind of the foundational stuff, the ordinances, the picking those apart, kind of keeping industrial standards, kind of giving, Cass some marching orders, if you will. He'll focus really on the policies, procedures, deployment strategies, making sure issues get addressed, that we have constant and consistent coverage in particular areas. So that's what we'll do. The building department, again, Cliff Note version, and Todd probably has more and better things here, but the building department will deal with building permits, new construction, obviously, which we know we have a ton of that is going on currently and is coming. He'll keep track, babysit, if you will, the electrical inspection, it's an inside joke. Making sure at this point we are mechanical and plumbing inspections go to the state, making sure that that is done properly. We don't know in the past if they're getting construction permits with us, are they actually getting the plumbing permits, mechanical through the state, which is why we want to ultimately bring it back. So, and we've got this guy here who he's still with us. He's going to help reel this stuff in. He looks all tough. So that zoning administrator, again, coordinate with CED. We had these big projects, and then of course coordinate with the planning commission. On the code compliance side, just the rental inspections, the commercial inspections, code violation enforcement, marijuana compliance, which we haven't really been great at, environmental investigations. Again, tire heaven, dumping in alleys of, the list goes on and on. Now, again, you take the chief investigator who will literally jump from high bushes and high cars to find these people. So we can say, commission, we have now in place and have asked to make some arrests or some tickets of people who are dumping in our town. Very, very important. I think we all would agree to that. And then also assist in our travels. We're going to also assist income tax compliance when we go in to do our business, our commercial inspections, as well as meeting with property owners that own large amounts of properties and have employees. That they, yeah, here you go, income tax. So everyone will be. These are the minimum requirements. And again, this is just very quickly Cliff Note. So state certified firefighters 1 and 2. That's all of us, minus Darlene. International Code Council ICC Property Maintenance and Housing Inspector certification, which would be required. That is international certification, and ultimately State of Michigan Fire Inspector 1 certification, so that we have a complete total inspector, top to bottom. And then again, if we got to call in building inspector or building official or whatever to remediate a particular issue. Again, safety and better for the community. So our enforcement priorities are here, not limited to, again, we want to hear your recommendations, your thoughts, but rental compliance, commercial compliance, life safety, again, you're going to hear that continually. That's what we do. Trash legal dumping, which I know we're all tired of. I know you're tired of sending emails and pictures. We're going to get to that. Demolition, so we can coordinate again with Mr. Little. Vehicle violations, grass and shrub, structural integrity. And I'm going to give Cass some time to speak. His experience, but structural integrity is key because we go into these houses, again, a civilian inspector may not necessarily look at structural integrity from a fire perspective. And that's huge, especially if you ever had a ceiling falling on you and give you a concussion. It's huge. I wouldn't advise that, but it happens. And here's to Mr. Mitchell's point, and I'm done, I'll turn over to Kaz, is we have found that we have a lot of things we are not capturing fees on throughout the years. An example, by ordinance for a gas station or convenience store, there's a per pump fee. It's only like $25. There's a per pump fee. There's a fee for lottery machines. So as we dig into the weeds and make sure we're operating correctly, we'll start to be able to capture some of these things. Again, there's a whole bunch of things that we're not necessarily getting, have gone uncollected, and people just didn't know or didn't read the chart or whatever the case may be. So we want to make sure, we believe that we're going to pay for ourselves, even though it's been budgeted, we think we're going to pay for ourselves just in 6 months. So that's what we believe. That's it. That's what we're doing. That's why we're doing it. I'd like to come back in 6 months and you guys say, McGinnis, at least you did it, or you didn't do it at all. And with that, Deputy Director Kasperzak.
Yeah, we won't fail, I can guarantee that. I just want to touch on a couple of things because in the past month, we've had several places we've condemned. And because of life safety issues, we had a illegal rental that we had a fire in with a burn victim. Guy was sleeping in a closet, fell out onto a pile of trash and a hot plate that caught him in the room on fire. The home was in no condition to be living in, no working heat, and vermin throughout the place, roaches, bed bugs, maggots, and that's what these people were living in. It was an illegal rental, had never been registered as a rental in town, had 3 people living in it. And just a plethora of code violations. So we condemned that 2 days after Christmas on the 27th. We have a commercial building downtown that had an illegal like flea market set up in it, illegal walls built with tarps, a foot of standing water in the basement. That building has been since condemned. On the 31st, New Year's Eve, we had an illegal party venue that we had shut down 3 previous times. That had another illegal party at it. That building has been condemned, and we've taken control of that building. We cannot tolerate the fire code violations, the life safety violations, et cetera. So it has become, a pretty hard-nosed approach to these. When they're blatantly, after they, violating cease and desist orders, because they don't meet fire code and they, we have no other options. So we need to put life safety first, and that's what we've done and we'll continue to do. Structural integrity, we had a church collapse in town last year at Pavone and Clay. We have another church currently that we're working on that is in danger of collapse. The building official has been working on several roofs throughout town that have collapse issues and been working with certified architects to get those fixed. So we have to take this approach that, we can't tolerate this.
The last thing I would like to ask or say / ask Commissioner Singleton is, I want to be perfectly clear, because we believe that we're doing what the community is asking for. We're going to do our jobs, do it effectively. And I want to be sure that the citizens and the commission want to make sure we have people stop disrespecting our city, coming in and doing all type of crazy stuff and holding them accountable. And the people that we talk about, these aren't city residents. They just happen to own property in the city. I want to be clear. We're going to do our job, and we ask for, hope to have your support.
That's what we pay you for.
Touche.
No comment?
You guys saw I was like kind of affected in regards to the gas pump and then the charges for lottery machines, because that would be a lot of funds that we could end up having.
Out of curiosity, like, how do you evaluate the changes that you plan to make?
So I got a lot of data. So just from a revenue perspective, if you will, and again, it's not about making money, but when we start to, I can't tell you the number of illegal rentals that we have, but even in what we haven't been collected on. We haven't been doing inspections. We may or may not get the annual rental registration. Even if we were just focused on that particular stream, will increase. Commercials, firefighters went out business to business and did commercial inspections. Oh, on that, we haven't been charging for fire suppression service inspections. Every other community does it, we haven't been. We haven't even been charged for right-of-way applications that come through Avamarks that's been forwarded to us. So there's a lot of things that we have left on the table that we have not charged for. So to answer your question, just on that, I think that there's many stats, not just the money, but citation-wise. In 2023, in 2022, we wrote no citations in co-compliant. I'm saying it again, 0. So obviously C2, that's more. It'll be more. Not that we're looking to jump out the bush and incite people, but I think we have some very clear measurables we'll be able to use and say, hey, we're moving in the right direction. So,
Okay.
yes.
Just to answer, I'm a stats-driven person. As far as the fire inspections go last year, we did 267 commercial fire inspections. Your building was one of them. Of those, 590 fire code violations and 12 illegal parties venues were shut down. So just that last year alone, you can kind of see there and we hadn't done fire inspections in years here. So to do that, it's a lot of violations. Hopefully, a lot of fires and death and injury have been prevented.
And we found, because we're working with income tax, of those 200 and some odd, only 90 were registered with us. 90 out of 200 businesses. So that's income tax we had not been realizing, the fees we haven't been realizing. The list goes on and on and on.
Do you have like an estimate of how much revenue the city loses like annually due to those things?
That would be illegal as a police officer. That's probably more of the bean counter question. If I was to sit here and say, oh yeah, we have this much we're expecting to bring in, the neighbors would be restless, because I shouldn't be.
I mean, like retroactively.
I don't, because cops don't think about bringing the money, I never even crossed my mind, honestly, other than I know we're not getting it. Great question, I can find it out and get back to you.
Any questions from the audience? Commissioner Henry.
Maybe not so much of questions. I just want to commend them. I've sit here and watched over the years the department, after the state come in and put them together, now we got 3 together. And I can see the improvement automatically. But I want to say this. We got a great staff of people, and they're all old. I would like to see some young people, young Benton Harbor residents pulled up from the bottom to their positions in whatever years that we can. Back in the day, I just love to give you a history lesson because most of y'all wasn't even born then. But back in the day, they used to bring kids out of Benton Harbor High School directly into the fire department. And it worked. So I think we need to improve. We want to collaborate with all of these. That we should definitely look out for the next generation by giving our elders an opportunity to retire and bring in somebody else that's been trained by them. And that's the best part. They're getting the best training that they could get because these guys already know what they're doing. So I just want to bring that human infrastructure into it, and I'll do it all the time. And if you don't do anything about it, the people are going to look at it. So thank you.
I would say one of the things we did in 7 and 14 is when we set our goals, first thing, because we haven't, as you know, we haven't had good consistency in the department and the head of the department. We actually have kind of writing a succession plan. Succession planning, meaning after me, after Clark, after Weber. I got a good idea who probably will be the chief here in probably 15, 20 years.
Everybody knows.
Commissioner Clark.
At first I thought when Commissioner Henry said the staff is all, I thought she was talking about the city staff. But anyway, it is a lot of young ones that's police. It's a lot of young ones. And Cameron Hirschkin just graduated, and he's a police. So they do have youth too. And you know, we need youth for energy, but we need older for knowledge too. So.
Commissioner Isham.
Yes, we got vehicle violations now. Is that overnight parking on the street? Are we gonna go back to that? 'Cause I got a little story, because when I was dating my wife, I used to come to the city and park on Hastings. Stay a little late, you know. And I got a ticket every night. When you like a 90, I was a young man.
That was one of my pet peeves. I didn't pay my tickets, and I got arrested.
Oh.
Somebody, then I'm fully stopped. But I paid it. But anyway, do they still ticket over this from 2 to something? I know it's.
All right, so let me say, not really, no. That's kind of, so the way that the ordinance is written is kind of ridiculous because it's year round. Okay. That is really meant for snow route. Mm-hmm. I know when I got here, you know, Aggie made me write tickets. I'm like, it's June, man, what are we writing tickets for? Mm-hmm. So if you recall, there had been discussions we're gonna bring back to legislative of revamping that ordinance and expanding odd even parking. And I think we need to probably get with our engineers and see if that is something that we would be good to do or to consider. Mm-hmm. But I think, and we got certain streets you legally can't park on. You can't park on Cross, you can't park on May, you can't park on at all anywhere. Right? Some people still do. Pearl Street is a mess. As you know, Pearl is so thin. You're parking on both sides. So that is probably a separate issue. To answer your question is yes. We have had that in the coffers to improve parking on our streets, but more importantly for garbage trucks and emergency vehicles. Because if each can't get his truck down the road, I mean, and then they ain't no traction. I can't get you down the curb.
Right.
So, yes.
From a person who probably wrote you the ticket. But they had, there was a sign at each entry of the city that said no parking from all city streets from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And I think back then, when I was told that one of the reasons were to allow for services like, street sweeper and stuff like that, yeah. And then wintertime was, a different thing, because it could be not during them hours, it could be daytime, but, they need that street cleared to get it, so they establish an emergency route or declare that street, That old one that's on the books, that would need to be tweaked, I'm sure it do with the modern, things that's going on now. So that odd even and stuff like that would probably help out. That's a little, yeah.
Yes, I'd just like to say that enforcement of the codes, rules, regulations, and laws is a win-win situation for the city. City government is a business. It needs money. And enforcement of these rules, whether it's, for one thing, it helps to get your city back in shape. You shouldn't have people parking tractor trailer trucks up in the yard by the porch, or folks' Cadillac across the steps and all of that kind of stuff. Or you going down the street and all the cars are supposed to be pointing in the same direction you going, but suddenly here one pulls out, the lights shine right in your face because they're parked on the wrong side of the street and that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that tears the city down. Enforcement to make people get back to where they're supposed to be not only helps to rebuild the city, but the violations and making people pay for it helps to pay the cost of operating the business of city. And we are way down in many, many areas of that. And the reality is, I've been dealing with it for years and years. I know how it works when you start doing it and all of a sudden somebody's cousin complains to somebody and then they call somebody. And we got to get away from that stuff, people. We got to get to where people understand what they're supposed to do and do what they're supposed to do. And if they don't, let them pay the penalty.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Little. That opens up the avenue for the newsletter and an avenue to tell the people what needs to be done. Do you realize that people in Ben Harbor have been walking in the streets for 3 decades? How are you gonna stop kids from walking in the street and all they know is walking in the street? So we gotta come together in compassion to fix these things. These are social things that need to be fixed. And sure, the city needs money, but the city has lived off of 35 years of residents' money. There was no businesses here. It was just residents paying whatever they could or whatever they should. So now let's come back to the human infrastructure again, where we take care of our own and with compassion. But we have to let them know that there's some order. God calls for order. We have to let them know there is some order, and it has to be our ordinance and ordinances. And so we got to start somewhere. Let's do the newsletter. Let the people know every 2 weeks what is really required of them to be a resident of Ben Harbor. They don't know they can't burn. I stop them all the time for burning because they don't know. So here it is. Commissioners, the newsletter, bring it up again. Thank you.
Sounds good, I'm gonna clap. Commissioner, newly Commissioner Emma Canada.
Yes, I was just listening, and I agree, there's some good things that's being put in place. And that's the only way that we are going to get our city back to where it once was, as I saw as a young woman visiting here. But one of the things that I do see, we got to practice what we preach. You agree? And I see out in our hall, in erosion, right here in our own building. So we got to try to work on the places that people come in to see how their government is being ran. When they see that, you put in certain responsibilities to the others, which they should have. But we have a responsibility to upkeep our place of business here. So I just want to make that aware as to the premises being weeded and cleaned and kept up, just like other places around here, and our building also.
Well taken, lead by example.
Yes.
Mr. Duncan.
Our driveway is a mess down here too. Let me say that this year. We're doing for everybody else, but we're not doing for ourselves fast enough. I know we're gonna do something for ourselves, but not fast enough. Can you use your boots, give somebody a boot or something, speed up the process? That's a direct question. I'll wait though, I'll wait for my answer.
The only statement that I wanted to make, which I know I've said it before, and I know the city manager had explained as to why it had occurred, but I talked about different work experiences like, I forgot it, AmeriCorps, having such things. I don't know if you could benefit from some, Chief, or youth. Well, Michigan Works Connexus actually has work experiences through Bridge, through WIOA, the adult education program where they actually pay for 6 weeks. And so that could be just somewhat of an experience to see if they want to be a police officer or a fireman. And it's paid for, and it's only 20 hours a week. And I mean, even to see, what code enforcement is about. We don't, a lot of times it's not exposure as to careers. How many of us know about being code enforcement? And it's, it's like a sidebar, and it's extra, but like my niece, I know she wants to do nursing. It's just kind of like what we're told, but then there's, I have a really good friend that's a respiratory therapist and make just as much money as nurses without having to do, as many things as a nurse, right? And so I believe if we were to tap into I did AmeriCorps twice. I was at Capstone as a parent aide. I was at Catholic Family Charities that was in in Mercy building for a teen parenting pregnant program. So, I mean, it's a good program. It's a stipend. And then a lot of times I advertise it to different people. For those that were on aid, it didn't count for income. So they still can get the assistance from, for whatever reason they were getting it, but giving back into the community because it's a form of community service. So I think those in regards to presence, and even if they were helping Public Works clean up, because Public Works can't get everywhere and are working on doing that, I think that would be huge.
Can I throw this one thing? Because I was trying to be quick and not kind of monopolize the time. But you guys have made great points. So, if I'm sitting there, I'd be thinking like, okay, that's great. Again, what are you doing with police work? That's really your job, chief. So, and I've talked about this before, there's two things here that this directly affects, I should say indirectly affects. There's two concepts. One's called environmental design, which actually Commissioner Menard has been doing it for years. That concept is if you beautify an area and keep it up, it initiates other people in the community to do the same. The other one is broken windows. If you eliminate the broken windows, then that will A, have citizens take ownership, B, that will prevent people from breaking the windows. So all this works together in a big macrocosmic circle of, we're talking about code compliance now, but at the end of the day, it's making Benton Harbor better as a public safety department. And I wasn't going to throw that in, but the Lord led you all to bring that up, so I'm going to throw it in.
And then good job. You are transparent more often than not about about, you know, what you're succeeding at, what you're working on. And I really appreciate that. I can't say that I've had such an experience in regards to, you know, discussing it and say, hey, give me feedback, and this is what I'm trying to do, even with the collaboration with, I can't remember the name of that program, with the state police or whatever official he was in regards to collaboration to, you know, to hear the gunshots and be able to get even all this exposure to different advancements in regards to safety has been huge, and you have done a great job.
Thank you.
Okay, any other part of the report there? Want to give some time to our new department that's been added to this committee, Public Works. Anything you want to add? I know it's your first time, you know, we don't expect this.
Mr. Chair, I want to start it off by introducing for those who don't know and reintroducing for those who do know. This is Mr. Meeks, and Mr. Meeks is the Public Works Supervisor. There's no director of the department, so I am actually the director, and he is the supervisor. What I wanted to do, though, since this is a new department and coming into this system, the committee system, want to kind of lay the groundwork so that everybody knows exactly what's happening. It was mentioned earlier by someone, the chief over there, that records of calls that come in, there's 5 sheets. 5 sheets of calls that have come in over the last few months. And we've got people's names and telephone numbers, so we're not gonna hand these out. But these are concerns that people have, and we track them. They come into my office, and then they're doled out to the department heads to do. And needless to say, Public Works gets the majority of these to respond. And we have them, so it's time that Public Works comes in here. But one thing you've got to know, 2 years ago, we took on the garbage collection. There was no garbage collection in Public Works, so that's a new duty. And before that, there were, how many people in the department?
16.
There was 16 people, we got 10 now?
Yeah, 10.
Okay. I'm gonna let Mr. Meeks talk about that, but I want to lay the groundwork. And we're gonna continue to take the concerns in, not complaints, concerns. And we have a young lady down in, we don't even have assistants out in Public Works Department. We have a young lady down in the Water Department who handles Public Works calls, and she handles Parks and Recreation calls. We're short-staffed, needless to say. But we're not talking about it, we're trying to do the best we can about it. And Mr. Meeks, your first time here, you've heard the others, pat yourself on the back.
Good afternoon, everybody. For one, a lot of people complain about Public Works about a lot of things. But like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when we took on the garbage, we so shorthanded. 4 or 5 people go out on the garbage every day, and there's only 4 or 5 people left. It's so hard to filter through to try to get the day-to-day operations done, because we have certain things we gotta do. We got sewer calls we gotta handle. We got lift stations we gotta handle. It's a lot of things that go on in Public Works. There's a lot of stuff on the Public Works side that get neglected because of all the other duties that we have to do. And I guess
this is the time to let everybody know what's going on. But we are so short-standing when the state came here and took everybody out. And we got added more duties on top of taking people out. So that's the gist of what's going on with Public Works and everything right now. And then we have going out doing some parks and stuff. You know, it's a lot of things we have to do. And especially when code enforcement call and they got problems that they need us to go pick up or go handle. It's a lot every day, but you know, a lot of people don't see what's going on, but it's a lot going on.
You need a raise, and the crew needs a raise.
They don't need a raise.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They should get it now, today. Ask for it today.
If it was that easy, they would have them, but it's not that simple. Jason, I'm gonna ask you to help him out here. Can you tell the public the number of duties that are on the Public Works?
Well, every time I talk to Michi and his group, they're constantly working on trash. We're trying to figure out how to clean up, clean storm sewers, check on water services. You know, during all those projects, we lean on his staff to help the contractor out on city items. The lift stations that you guys have in the city require 2 to 3 times inspections per week to look at those. So DPW staff does that. We work with we want to test fire hydrants. I know the fire department has helped out on that in some fashion. If the hydrant is broken, his guys are logging it, letting anybody know, letting the fire department know that's going on. Me and Mr. Meeks have looked at water plant roofs and roofs here in City Hall together. So it's a little bit of everything that I see his group does. So this would be a good thing to kind of summarize for all you guys. I'm glad you kind of added this to the committee.
So from committee standpoint, and as commissioner, we definitely aware of the challenges, and I think it's our goal is to come up with ways to help you get the job done, and that's through if it's funding, more people, even coming up with different ideas that you go out to other communities or somewhere. If we had a conference or something, we see how other things work. Might be a good idea if we can bring it back to tweak it here. You mentioned about the added duties with the trash, which that was a hot topic.
It was a hot topic.
We had some different different contractors. One, especially with our finances and stuff, it was very costly. So we looked at ways to try to save some money, and then we also ended up with contractor that ended up having some internal issues that we got the brunt end of what was going on. If we're gonna pick up trash and not channel 22 and everybody around taking pictures of all the trash and stuff. So we figured hey, it's time to come up with something. I know it's hard work and I appreciate it. I tell you guys all the time. Don't have a whole lot of complaints from it, but the savings that I think was at that time spending close to $600,000 a year. Got the finance chair. Then we figured out hey how even if we could save $100,000, that would go back into to help do something else. With equipment. Hopefully make wages fair. So it's a tough task, and, when they brought the, idea of, doing the, public works to a committee structure, I was, glad to take on the challenge to, come up with, ideas and, ways to make it work, So,
Yes, it's still a challenge every day with the garbage. For one thing, in Harbor residents, we pick up more trash than anybody in the area. I'm telling you, from, they, 1 can and 2 cans plus 30 bags on the side of it, it's a lot of trash. So we gotta condense it down. It costs the city a lot of money every day to go to the dump.
Right, and I think that's another area that we have to address, because we're not collecting, back to the collection thing, we're not collecting for all the, we charge for the one flat.
The 96 gallon can.
Right, and then in the other communities, they may allow you to have the one dumpster for that week and maybe a couple extra bags, but when you go out there and you get, 20 bags and stuff, you need to pay a little extra money,
Right.
Pay your fair share of it, So I think with code compliance and everybody working together, we can try to make that happen. I know some folks will forget, don't take the trash out for, for some reason for, a few weeks, and then, that next week, they try to put it all out,
Right.
I forget sometimes myself, but I'll put out, what I can put out, and then I save the rest and put out, because next week I might not have much. So it comes back to what Commissioner Henry talked about. The newsletter of just educating folks on what need to be done. So I see this thing going, with all the pieces coming together, and eventually we're gonna get to a point where it's, easy.
Let me say, so nobody misunderstands and thinks that these are excuses that are being told to you. We are working with the department, organizing the labor and distributing it so that we can get the work done. In other words, we know we've got to keep these streets clean. We got to get them clean, we got to keep them clean. These past 3 years, we've gone through a lot of reconstruction on the streets. And that's no time to have those street sweepers out when those are going on. But now, we just about we got most of the streets. We've got another street program we're looking at doing this year too. But we got these streets down now, where we're gonna make sure we have a street sweeping plan. We're gonna sit down, have that plan ready to go when the spring comes. So we're not asking for excuses, we're asking for understanding and patience.
In terms of the public information, there are various ways you get it out, but just in the past week, I responded to a question from a couple of other ministers and managers in the area. We're the only ones that are putting out on YouTube all of these meetings that we have. The commission meetings, the committee meetings, they were asking, you all are doing that? They are. So this information is getting out there every week on an ongoing basis.
You gotta get it in the hands of the everyday person too. There's a lot of folks that, up on the technology and stuff. But those ones that we're missing, we gotta figure out a way to get it to them too, so.
Commissioner.
Commissioner
Canary. Yes, I'd like to ask one quick question. Do you all have a daily log on what the employees are doing in Public Works? Do you
We
know
don't
that?
have a daily log, but we have a daily assignment sheets. We have a daily, schedule we go by.
Okay, so they can be, always, viewed too, at any time.
Yeah, the schedule can be viewed.
Okay. I just want to see what could be the best ways of making sure that we can track what is being done in the city.
Well, I can tell you this, ma'am, is that 80% of the staff is doing trash every day. That's what 80% of the staff is doing every day. Because you have people that are calling in, don't come to work, some on vacation. So if we didn't pick up the trash, it'd be really a mess. So 80% of the guys are doing trash. I got guys that been there 20 years because a guy been there 2 years, don't want to get out and go do trash, he call in sick. So I got these guys out there that's been there 20 years out there on the back of the garbage truck. So 80% of my guys and girls are doing trash.
Yes, I understand that, but the one thing that I was trying to sort of figure out, and tell me if I'm wrong, there was how many millions of dollars was spent for you all to get equipment? Wasn't there quite a bit of money recently captured for equipment?
Yeah, we got a sweeper and we got a patch machine and we got a chipper.
Okay, so that's why I'm asking, because I don't know what equipment you have, but I was thinking that in having these equipments, you got them for a reason. So these things can be taken care of more swiftly than what we have in the past, when we had to rent street sweepers or the sweeper was always broken. Now we got a new sweeper and everything, so we shouldn't have an excuse to apply at least one person to be covered. We only got 4 wards. So I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm just trying to throw out something that maybe can sort of jar our minds to work together, seeing that it's taken care of.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but in most of all the equipment that you got, it takes 2 people. It takes 2 people to run it. The sweeper goes out and runs by itself. It needs a dump truck there to haul the dirt away. The patch machine, it needs a person driving the patch machine, and it needs to be 2 people. You can't just put people out there. You gotta have out there for safety, for people to be seeing another car coming or something, get out the way. The chipper takes a dump truck and another person. It's not no one person shows.
Yeah.
So, and and the garbage trucks got to have 2 CDL drivers every day. So if my part-time people don't come to work, that takes 2 CDL people and put them on the back of the garbage truck. So now I'm stuck. What can I do today? What can I put a person at? Then I got some people who's on FMLA. They can't do certain things. So, not FMLA, short, light duty. So
I understand, but I'm saying, you have this equipment. Is it gonna sit there and rot?
no,
When
the
you don't have
equipment,
people there to work and run it and get the jobs done.
the equipment has been out quite a few times.
I haven't seen a street sweeper in, I don't know how long, in the inner part of the city.
Well, it was just on the north side about a month ago before it got cold. It was running the north side at the time.
Well, I'll be in touch with you all to make sure that I can pinpoint some times that it come into the other parts, because I really haven't seen it, and I really looked pretty hard for it this past year. Thank you.
One key thing is building up that, you need more people, definitely need more folks, so. Commissioner Henry.
And that's something that we've been talking about since the state came in and took over, that we need more people for public works. And every time we get a report from HR, it's because they couldn't, they didn't have a CDL. And lately, it's been marijuana, not being able to pass a marijuana test. So I'm saying that there's opportunities here for us to pick an extra step. We can work with the state, the Secretary of State just love to give some black people in Benton Harbor driver's license, CDL. We just turned down the best project that will allow residents to be trained for CDL, but we turned that down. So now I'm saying now, we have to, the human infrastructure has to be addressed. How do we get our people in those positions? We gotta think out of the box for this. If you think in the box, then you thinking in the structural racism that we've been living under for over 400 years. You got to think out of the box to support our people. So I just commend them for just keep trying to make it work. But if you just don't have what it takes, there's not enough people there. And then when I hear them say that we saved a lot of money, but let me go back to the human infrastructure. We as residents didn't save anything. We still paying high price. And then I'll speak as a commissioner. I asked the question, well, why does this machine keep going in the shop every month, every other month? What's going on with it? We're never gonna get out the hole if we don't get some answers to why these things are happening. They're not happening just out of coincidence. So I know you're busy, and I can go back to the day when you had an assistant in that room. And I don't know what the sister did, but she kept you guys in order quite a bit. And then about 3 or 4 years ago, they had it that someone was gonna come and help Public Works. That person never went to Public Works to help. They're still in the same place they were 4 or 5 years ago. So now's the time for us to do something, because doing nothing is not acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meeks, City Manager.
Mr. Chair, can I make a suggestion on the reports? You got the Public Works.
And as my co-chair was saying, expect great things.
Y'all talking among yourself, because we didn't hear what you said.
Because Mr. Meeks, expect great things.
Oh, bullshit. I mean it. Oh, did I say that? I mean it too.
All right, thank you. Back to, did you have any more, where will we come in with the building inspector?
Put it under.
That's no business, number 3. Okay, all right, we got it. All right.
She don't want them to leave.
Okay. This brings us to the public comments part of the agenda. I hope that you have looked over the agenda and the items or whatever you need to. And this time the agenda calls for public comments. Any public comments? One once, one twice.
Public comments
Public
concerning
comments.
what?
What's on the agenda?
What's on the agenda?
What is on the agenda?
There is a paper there in front of you.
So you're gonna discuss all of this?
On the agenda is public comments.
public comments first.
Public
Before,
comments.
before you discuss anything?
Yep.
Okay,
I started out it while you read that agenda.
Okay, and also with public comments, we have a
3 minute
3
rule.
minute limit.
That's all we want,
Yeah,
is
just
3
like
minutes.
commission.
My question to you, Chair and Co-Chair, is when we sign contracts, do they pay income tax?
Say it again.
When we sign a contract
Uh-huh.
to hire someone, do they pay income tax? The
Yeah.
clerk is saying yes.
Yeah, any income that's earned in the city limits is
It-
subjected to income tax.
Is that included in these two projects, 4 and 5 in the items? Is that included in there?
Should be, yeah.
Should be, don't make it.
Yeah, and well, if they
He's
earn,
got to say,
if
bing, bing, bing.
they're earning any income earned in the city limits, there's an ordinance says that you are subject to this.
So
city
we'll
income
take
tax.
that out if it's in there,
What then?
that they don't have to pay.
Oh, no, well, you can't go against the ordinance.
Oh, okay, all right, I just wanted to know. Thank you.
Commissioner Kennard.
I'd like to know, there's been some inquiries from a lot of the people on the street over here, where Cease Church, I mean, that's
Columbus.
Columbus. It's been residents along there that was, kind of upset about how that road is tore up now in the winter time. When will that be resolved?
It'll be spring. It'll be spring when it's finished.
The latter part of spring, early part of spring?
It should be the early part of spring, soon.
Commissioner Ender.
That is another reason why we need to have the newsletter. Cause those people didn't get an announcement. Next thing they knew, they was over there and they tore the street up and they didn't get anything. And believe me, they called me and told me how upset they were. So there's another reason why we need a newsletter or some way to communicate with the people. Thank you.
Mr. Duncan.
I asked for a drain to be quieted in front of my house, and I've been asking for it for the past, maybe you guys can help me with how long it's been. Months ago, before Christmas, around Thanksgiving, and I was promised over and over to do it, or that it was going to be done. And I spoke to a gentleman from Abermarsh about it, and he promised me over and over again he was going to take care of it. Now, is there a ordinance about health and welfare attached to that? Public safety is what I'm talking about.
Two things. Well, one, I'll let Jason talk to the public, talk to you about that. Those improvements.
Before Christmas, we did try to put us something to soften the manhole, so apparently I hadn't seen you since the
Use some
Thanksgiving.
duct tape or something?
Well, the only other thing that I could suggest is, talking with Mr. Meese at Public Works, changing out that cover completely. And to a bolted down cover, because from my experience, I tried to soften, we tried to soften that manhole cover. So apparently it still is rattling.
It never stopped rattling.
Yeah, okay. So either we can look at bolting it, or actually we can think about welding it.
Is it storm drain or manhole?
It's a sanitary manhole, yeah. So, since I haven't seen you in a while,
I know.
We'll talk with Public Works and get out there and get that together, see what we can officially do. What I wanted to avoid was ripping up the pavement. So, yeah, just a manhole, you have to cut out the pavement to get the actual manhole to sit. And I wanted to try to avoid that.
Commissioner Clark Griffin.
I just wanted to say, because we was talking about income tax and Commissioner Henry asked, was the contractor paying income tax? And I remember Director McGinnis was saying, what, something about 90% of businesses are not, out of 200 are not registered. And to my knowledge, income tax, we only get like, collecting about 10% at best. So even though they're supposed to pay, apparently a lot are not paying. So, am I right?
I don't work in the income tax department, so I
So
can't
you
answer
shaking
that.
your head. Well, I know I'm right because I'm speaking for
The
that.
10%, yes.
Yeah, okay. So we something got to give. They not even paying 10%. Are paying. So
Those including lawn cutting.
Any other public comments? Any other public comments? This time, public comment section is closed. Is there any old business? Okay, there's no old business. This time it brings us to the new business. Item number 1, resolution adopting the 2024 through 2028 Park and Recreation Plan. We heard the public hearing, and this is the committee.
Good consensus, move that forward, resolution forward.
Okay.
Honorable Chair, can we get them to show us any changes they made from the draft to the final in red?
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Item number 2, a resolution approving the 118th Blossom Time Festival Parade and Run for the Bullets.
That consensus, move it, yes, move the Blossom Festival Parade and Run for the Bullets.
Oh, I didn't know that was all part of it.
Item number 3, building official contract.
All right. Let's hurry before they run out. So, both the door closed. So one of the things that we discovered when we did an internal what's going on is we have not had any consistency, especially in the building official seat or position. As a person that's really responsible for the building department, all that goes on as far as building permits, whatnot. I'll let Todd speak to some of those things briefly, because he's a lover of words. He loves his job, so he can get going on it. But one of the things, this is
their job.
They love their job. They're a team. So I want you to do them in a second. This is actually kind of like the foundation of the whole department, which would give you an indication of why we've been operating in quicksand, because we haven't had the foundation. And unfortunately, because people in the past have been using Benton Harbor as a stepping stone, the ones who did come through qualified didn't pass on any institutional knowledge, didn't get anybody trained, didn't try to get any type of succession plan. So we've been operating like the Apple Dumpling Gang for a long time. I came up, and I think that, again, I think it's got appointed, but he became available and somewhat interested, and we talked, and they are a team. So the way it normally works is a building official, generally it's contracted, it's not really a full-time person. However, and of course, Mr. Little can speak to it, is an extremely important position. So all the inspections that are going on, somebody has to be responsible for those and make sure that they're holding other people accountable. We're street cops, firefighters, we're not inspectors, so we don't know. So, after a long time of trying, of course, with Doyle's help, bring him on to take on the role as an experienced building official and to help us build the department where we want to. I won't say they're a team because they're independent contractors, their own company. His wife is kind of the brains behind the operation. She says go and he goes. She says come and he comes. But she does the administrative stuff. She has agreed, through much talk and banter, to help us administratively get on point for the things that we need to have as far as processes in place with the software we have. So we have a very robust software that we probably were using about 20 to 40% efficiency of it. So she's willing to help us with that. This contract here is really kind of the first part of kind of coming in, getting his feet wet, having her help. And part of that, if you read the contract, is obviously they get paid on the permit fees that come in. So they come in and it takes them 6 to 9 weeks of getting stuff in order. Then that's not at the goods of their heart. They still have to have some type of remuneration. So the first part of this is, I think it's like a 90-day work proposal. Come in, help get things on track. As Deputy Director has indicated, we have some major things going on like right now. We need him to get in on, 456 South Fair, 2520 Wall, 38 Wall. So that is what we're bringing to you. And as it being a contract, it needs to be approved by the commission. And I'd like to, again, I thank him for showing interest in coming to us, because it's hard getting people in here. It's hard. So without any further ado, Todd and Lisa, he's all worried, like I don't want to say too much, but you come on up and introduce yourself. We've had several conversations. This is a great couple. He knows, I'd say he knows the word. He knows his code enforcement or the building official stuff. It's really quite boring, to be totally honest with you. So, but he bleeds it. So without any further ado, this is Mr. and Mrs. Lisa and Todd Herder, who are licensed official building officials in the state of Michigan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Todd Herder. I've been a building official for 24 years. During that time period, I was also a zoning administrator for approximately 16 of those years as well. I've worked in 3 different municipalities, and Silver Creek Township, Niles Charter Township, and Bertrand Charter Township. And I was also the assistant building official for Keeler Township, Pokagon Township, and Wayne Township. Most of those are over in Cass County, but Berrien or Niles Charter Township and Bertrand Township are in Berrien County. So I do have a lot of years of experience, and I look forward to helping Benton Harbor get back on track and getting their building department set up and running smoothly. What I like about it is it's going to be a challenge. Okay, we like challenges, and we like to help. We like to solve problems, and hopefully at the end of the 90 days, we'll be able to have that building department up and running. Maybe not perfectly, but much better than what it is now.
My main goal, I'm Lisa Herder. I'm Todd's wife, of course. My main goal is to help administratively to support Todd in his position and help with utilizing the BSNA program as much as possible and get it to the point where, everything is very efficient and everything is being run through the program and we're utilizing it to the best of that it can be used, basically. But I'm basically administrative support and, moral support. So we're looking forward to it.
To put it lightly, she's both my right hand and right side of my brain sometimes. She helps me out immensely. So
yeah, girl power, exactly.
One of the things I'd like to do is to work with the fire chief on a lot of the condemnations and some of these buildings that they've had to condemn based on the deterioration. Like both your fire chief and Director McGinnis, your city, the better you can make it look, the better it's going to do. And it's all based on health, life, and safety for the people that are living in those buildings and the people that actually own those buildings and live around them. So being a building official, you oversee the entire department. You oversee the electrical inspector, plumbing, mechanical inspectors. You oversee the projects that are going, and you're responsible to not just the property owner, but to the permit holder, if that happens to be a contractor. It's really a key to getting your community built back up again. If you have any questions, I'm open.
Commissioner, I'd like to throw in, they've been coming up here really on their own dime, spending nights in the city with Loyal several times. So I think they've been invested and they'd be ready to hit the ground running.
Yes.
And thank you for that.
Yeah.
You're very welcome. You're welcome. We're ready.
Also spent several hours of interviews with us too.
Say that again.
They spent several hours with us interviewing too.
Torture. Am I gone? That's a bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I forgot my question, please. Oh, and so that is including Main Street as well, right? I'm thinking about a lot of the buildings that are incomplete, that are deteriorating, or, things of that nature. So it's not only within the neighborhoods, it'll be Main Street as well.
Anything that needs.
Yes, it'll be both commercial and residential. The Michigan Building Code there's two parts to it. There's the single family residential, and then there's the commercial portion, which is the building code, Michigan Building Code. So they're two separate codes that are kind of combined into one. But yes, it'll be both residential and commercial. It'll be, everything from windows and re-roofs on homes to renovations in existing buildings. And then I work kind of hand in hand with your ordinance enforcement when there's a condemnation. I would go in, look at the structure with them, and we would both use the International Property Maintenance Code as our backing to do the condemnations.
For those that do not know, condemnations means.
Okay, so if a building is in disrepair, okay, you can condemn the building. Now, once you condemn it, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be tore down, okay? It means it needs to be fixed, okay? So there's different stages of condemnation. And I use my experience on how far to take that. So, if you have a fire, depending on how much of the building has been damaged, you can condemn it, but it can still be saved. You can renovate it, but you condemn it to get the process going, to get people to make a choice. Are you going to save it or are you going to tear it down? Okay. And if you're going to tear it down, let's get it down. Let's not leave this structure dilapidated, sitting around for years and years.
And I'm sure you will be unbiased. I just know someone would say, are you going to be downtown and on Main Street or only in the neighborhood? So I wanted to ask that on the record.
I will be totally unbiased. I feel when you treat people the same, regardless of any circumstances, they can't complain. I mean, they can, but they don't have a legitimate complaint. So That's how I've operated. I've treated everybody the same. I don't cut corners, the code is the code. That's what I go by. And the codes are the minimum requirements that the state has. It's not the maximum, it's not middle of the road. These are the base minimums. So that's what has to be followed. Now, somebody wants to go above and beyond that, more power to them. But they have to meet at least the minimums.
So I have two questions. So the first is, what is the timeline? So once a structure is condemned, what's the timeline for remediation?
That's totally up to the municipality on how much, if you have a policy in place that you give them 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, that's the policy I'll follow. But typically, when you condemn a structure, you give them 30 days to respond. And if they don't respond, then you start legal action.
Okay, so my next question is, what if said structure is city-owned property?
Well, we're not gonna.
Give a bill to the chief.
We're not gonna go on.
I wouldn't know how to handle that. I would have to leave it up to city manager, So.
No, we're gonna work with.
Yes, we'll be working with the city on these. I mean, I'm not gonna go out in the neighborhood and say, yeah, that's condemned, that's condemned, that's condemned, that's condemned. Because primarily what my job is new construction. Okay, it's anything that requires a building permit. That's what my job primarily is. However, it does blend in with some other areas as well. But primarily it's new construction or remodels and additions and things of that nature.
Fall in with health and safety too. So if there is an existing structure that got issues and is brought to the attention, then this, you come in.
That's correct, yes.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just looking at the agreement, so the city gonna provide you with a vehicle.
Pardon me?
Part of the agreement, the city gonna provide a vehicle you to drive.
Yes, so typically, in our other municipalities, we're contract labor, just like what we be here, but we work off of a percentage of the permit fees. And that percentage allows me to use my own vehicle, allows me to do a lot of things that the municipality doesn't pay for, okay? Being that we're going to do this on an hourly basis, then that doesn't afford me the financial ability to be running around all over the place using up my gas, quite honestly, so that's correct.
So this is for a country.
Nothing. I'm so sorry, nothing.
So the agreement's for 90 days.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 90 days at $45 an hour for the building official and $30 an hour for the building official's assistants. And after 90 days, after 90 days, if you enjoy what you're doing and think you can feel that you can move the city forward and you will stay on for another 90 days.
Indefinitely.
Forever.
This is them being official and helping getting us on board administratively. That's why it's just 90 days, kind of special.
I had a question for the chief. Is this budgeted in the public safety?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, actually, they pay for themselves, so they get a percentage of they get paid for the permits.
Mm-hmm.
It's really kind of a pass through.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wait.
So.
Oh, yeah.
So basically what would happen is during this 90 days, I get paid by the hour and that's it.
No additional.
There's no additional, okay? And then,
Yeah, just the 90 days.
yes, and then Yes. After the 90 days, then we can look at things and reestablish a new contract or maybe continue with the existing contract. Depends on where we're going to be at.
But
Okay.
ideally,
But ideally, yes. Ideally, we would like to get it to a point to where we're working on a percentage basis. That's actually better for the municipality and us. It's actually a win-win because what happens is we only get paid based on a permit being issued. Okay. Now, our percentage of that permit goes to not only for us being here, keeping office hours, but also pays for us going out to do inspections and, writing letters and so on. Reports, that's correct. And also helps augment the cost of doing things that we don't get paid for, like, typically, in one municipality, I didn't get paid for doing condemnations. Okay, it was something that was part of my job description. So another municipality, I do. Okay, so depending on how things get set up after the 90 days we can, it's flexible.
You can work Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and Friday will be flexible.
That's correct. So on Wednesday, I have to maintain office hours at another municipality. Friday, I like to keep Fridays as my flex days because there's a lot of times things will come up that, I'm not able to get to on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Also, it allows me a little more flexibility with the other municipality as well.
Just one more question for the chief. So that you got an office ready for them to?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Move Clark into his office with him.
No, that's what I was gonna joke about. I was gonna say, we got a few that he can use. We have a few of them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And we can see she was your brain. I see it. I see it.
Thank you.
Commissioner, this is,
no public
comment in the new structure.
I beg your pardon? You mumbling?
We had the public comments already, Commissioner.
Oh. Well, I just want a clarification through the clerk about the income tax. I read something in here, so I'm gonna ask you the question. We have a contractor that works for the city, as an electrical contractor. Does he pay income tax?
Let me get that answer correctly from the income tax department. I know that we do have contractors that do pay income tax.
Okay, so could you ask that
It
question?
could be different, in their contracts as well.
Oh, yeah, I know, you can, whatever fits us well, we can do. Okay, thank you, Chair, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Item number 4.
Excuse me, Commissioner, I'm sorry. So humbly, we request that you send us up to the commission to be able to.
It's already done.
Oh, yes.
Item number 4, contract award for Green and Edward Reconstruction Project, Green Street and Edward Street Reconstruction Project. Jason.
That would be for 4 and 5.
4 and 5.
I'm gonna try to be pretty quick. I did put together a quick little presentation, and I think with all your guys' contract awards, that's gonna hopefully be all underway this year. I want to go ahead and update this as each one of these comes through. So I'm going to go through a quick little presentation of the water funding, and it's going to tie into both awards for Green and Edwards and the Monroe and May project. So I'm going to go through this pretty quick. It's stuff that I've presented to you guys before, but they have been updated as things have been developed with contracts that happen on Division in Columbus and other work. So yeah, my agenda real quick. One of the other things was it kind of ties in with what you guys all left with the lead service contracts from the completion of that, since we're 100%. That'll show your guys' review of the Public Act 53 water funding. Make sure you guys can see that you do have money to award these contracts. And then really the overview of award consideration for the two projects that's on your agenda. And you do have the award, the recommendation for award letters. So I'll go over those pretty much at the end. Really quick, a summary, and this is something that I just provided the city manager today but as you guys all might recall, the city did award contracts to 12 contractors for lead services. The awarded contract amount is the first column. The city awarded contracts for $33.2 million. You can kind of see it up there. After all the work's been completed, basically from our balancing exercises of the contracts, most of the contracts actually came in under budget. Some of the contracts came in over budget, but in aggregate, the final work that was paid for to the contractors will end up being $31.2 million. So actually, the final number, I think I've been mentioning about $2 million in the past. You have the city will have $1,934,625 to put back into your guys' water fund. So from the state of Michigan that awarded those contracts. So that's kind of just summarizes there at the bottom. 1.93 million basically goes to these upcoming contracts that I'll be mentioning. This is your Public Act 53 supplemental funding review. This is the money that was provided as part of the $45 million that the city received. So they did this is the money that allows for the water treatment plant improvements, your guys' distribution system project upgrades. And then there was a smaller task that the state had worked with the city on to have contractual support services on that. So the good news is now we were always targeting over $26 million there. We're going to be able to reallocate those water service savings in there. So really you go from 26.7 to really 28.7. It's just let you guys know that that's something that I know you guys have been asking for. And since we're now 100% and we're closing contracts out, that's the final number. Just real quick, the water plant treatment improvements. So the work that's happening at the plant, you guys did approve a contract for the lab and filter improvements. The breakdown is there on the right. Everything is tracking pretty well for the water plant project estimates and the work that's being done. So in reality, just note the two-star, that the lab and filter improvements, those are under contract already. We actually have asked the group over there to provide schedules and see where that stuff is at with our weekly calls with Eagle. The plate settler instrumentation, the low service pumps, the reservoir, that's still an estimate at 1.5, but that design work's underway. The flow wide feed improvements, that's been completed already. So there was a $40,000 placeholder for that. And then further work is still needed at the reservoir inspection, the high service well repairs. So really this slide, I want to just show that the water plant project is tracking to what the state had provided initially. So the distribution projects. So with the distribution projects, if you guys all recall, and some comments from earlier, Division Columbus is underway. That's a project that's already under contract between the city and the contractor. The two that I have here are Green and Edwards and May and Monroe. Those contracts, and I'll get into the specifics of who bid on them, but these are the total project costs for the base bid, and I'll go over that. But Green and Edwards and May and Monroe came in. Green and Edwards was at $2,896,000, and May and Monroe was $5,876,000. On this list, you have Colfax, that we did a presentation for just maybe in December, and that design's underway. McAllister, there's a larger project for McAllister that we're working with city staff on. That design's underway. A project that we're calling the East Britain High Street and East Vineyard over there on the east side of the city. That project is underway, and those are the estimates over there on the right. I've listed here the other projects that were targeted with that fund: Superior and Ogden, Monroe Avenue, and now Nolan and Madison and Winans. If you can see what's going on over here with our contracts that are under, or our projects that are under contract, and our estimates for the design work, you can see our total is at 2.6. So the city's only has 21 million in that water fund. So projects are coming in a little higher in their estimates. And the other thing that we've done is we've added sanitary and storm sewer improvements as part of these water funded projects while we have the road opened up. So we're the projects are coming in good, but they're starting to show that we're probably going to have to look at possibly eliminating a project here at the bottom. So the good thing is with the 21 million, the $2 million that you have for lead services could go on to this, could go at the water plant, could go for any other water infrastructure needs, but it's still being captured at some point. But we do have a shortfall of all the listed projects that we had provided to the state. And then this is the last one there where it was just 205,000 as part of that full amount. In reality, work's already been completed on that. There's a remaining budget of that little bucket of money is what we call it, for 78,000. Work's already been previously completed for some of the TMF updates at the water plant. We did the underwater reservoir inspection, and the high service suction well inspection was all done already, and that applies to that fund. So that's just a really quick overview of the fund. I'm going to continue to update this. If you guys all have questions, each time an award comes out, I'd like to update this for you guys. Moving into the project. So in the packet, I believe we picked, we pulled bids in December, and we had two projects. We had Green and Edwards and May and Monroe. This first screen slide is the Green and Edwards project. It's really highlighted in blue. It's kind of hard to tell, but if you're familiar with that area, it's Green and Edwards from Morton to Winans, thereby where Edwards crosses over to the other side of the ravine. It's going to include water main, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, catch basins, storm manholes, and hydrants. On this project, we did something that some of you have been asking for, just kind of clarification from HMA pavement and concrete pavement. We did an alternate bid for concrete pavement just to show you where that pricing is going to come in at. And if the city commission or the committee wants to move forward with the concrete pavement option, I'll talk about the finance side of that anyways. But for the Green and Edwards project, B&Z company here locally in Ben Harbor was as red low for both HMA and the concrete pavement. For this project, if we wanted to go with concrete pavement, it's an additional cost of $248,000. It's at the very bottom of the slide. So about 10%. So we would take out we wouldn't put asphalt down, but we would put concrete pavement in. It would cost about 10% more on the awarded contract. This is just a couple of pictures of the intersection of Morton and Green and Edwards Avenue. So those would be completely redone and full road reconstruction, as you see on the other recent projects that you guys have completed. The May and Monroe project is a larger project. It actually has 12 blocks east and west, and then 2 on May Street from Broadway to Hurd. And on Monroe Avenue, it's the longer north-south blocks that you guys have from Emory to May. So it's under one contract, same scope of work. It includes water main, changing out water main, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, catch basins, manholes, hydrants. There are many hydrants that are defective that we've been talking about as the hydrant replacement project, and we've always been targeting this May Street corridor to be reconstructed. 2 bids were received on that. This is a little different. The base bid was submitted for HMA pavement as read low was Northern Construction Services at $5,523,426. Actually, if you wanted to pursue concrete pavement, the award would go to B&Z at $6,027,244. So it's different from the alternate bid and the base bid. However, by going to concrete pavement, it's an additional $503,000, so another 10% or so for the project. So that's kind of why I gave the overview of where you are at in the fund. Some of the streets we already have to kind of maybe think about taking off of the plan because the funding is going to run out. So if you decide to do concrete, then we might have to adjust it even more. But that's kind of up to you if you wanted to pursue that. We would just have to look and reallocate the funds so that maybe one of the projects at the very bottom of that list would just completely come off. This is May Street. It's pretty heavily traveled corridor through town east to west, and that would have a complete new footprint, just like you would probably see on very similar to probably Highland Street would be kind of a sister project if you want to compare it. But really, we're bringing this to you to review these bids, potentially take them to commission for award. We haven't drafted the resolutions yet, considering if you wanted to go with the concrete or the HMA, or do you want to go with the alternate bid for the concrete pavement. What we also did on this project was we required the contractor to kind of put a good faith effort in there. I will say that the B&Z contracts did provide that it's in that memo. B&Z did state that they had 5 number of employees that would be locally, the local residents on the project. And then they said they had 3 minority local residents that were already work for them that would be on this project. Northern Construction has solicited Meeks Contracting for their work, which they have 7 or 8 crew members on their crew. So it's about the same local resident participation that I would say, compare one to the other. There's not one huge advantage over each one, unless you guys have other thoughts. But the biggest thing would be, moving this forward for award, drafting a resolution, whether or not you want to, go with low bid for asphalt or go with the alternate bid for the increased cost for concrete.
For the, on the concrete, from a engineering thing, compared to asphalt, longevity wise, what is?
So with asphalt pavements, we're putting in asphalt pavements in the around the streets now, or around the city now. Longevity wise, you're probably gonna get a little bit longer with concrete. It's a little harder to maintain. You can maintain a lot further stretch along with the asphalt. So concrete patching and things take a little bit more effort. It takes a little bit more effort to build as well. So the times are actually longer. You can't maintain any utilities as fast as you have with HMA pavement. So it's something definitely what MDOT usually will do. And we're trying to do this with the local streets income tax, depending on if you guys want to do projects every year, is, MDOT resurfaces roads pretty much every 7 years. So it's about that. But when they do, they just shut it down and they basically mill and resurface like you guys see out there in the local streets program. If you're going to do concrete maintenance down the road, let's say you're going to do something 10 or 15 years later, you're doing spot repairs, spot patches, and you don't get as long as the length of the maintenance. But you might, concrete, you got joints and everything that you have to maintain and you have to seal and everything else that should be happening on your new pavements. So it's kind of, you know, in my perspective, it's tough to take away, you know, if you're going to take and do concrete pavements on both, you know, you're taking away 800,000 or so for water mains. That's probably almost a project that we're wanting to shoot to change out water main really in the city. So that would be my thought, is to spend it on your underground infrastructure.
And just remember also, we have a lot of older infrastructure beneath the street. So we're gonna have to do repairs. It's gonna cost us more. It's concrete.
Any questions?
So what is this now? What material is on?
The base bids are all what is the lowest, how I have it set up right now.
What material?
So yeah, if you, in Green and Edwards, this picture on the left is actually showing more of Morton than Green or Green. Green actually has some brick pavements or pavers. So we would take those out and put asphalt down. And then you see Edwards right there is asphalt materials. So that is asphalt. What we found on, what we found on May and Monroe, May is asphalt. And the left pictures is asphalt. And then Monroe is actually asphalt over concrete. So at some point, the city overlaid the concrete pavement to probably fix any differential settling. And they probably put a small lift of asphalt on the concrete pavement. It's a composite pavement.
So you would mill all that up.
That when you guys are doing the reconstruction, you're taking everything up and you're building a brand new base. So it's not a hodgepodge of two materials, but yeah, it's years ago you probably resurfaced Monroe and it worked really well. But you can kind of see in some of these pictures, the joints always. The concrete joints always come up when you mill or when you resurface over concrete pavements. So it's when you rebuild the entire cross section, you have a good chance of it really, lasting like Pipestone or Highland. You really rebuilt everything as part of the project.
I was gonna make a joke to lighten it up and say, does that include covering their manhole area?
Not on that street.
Just going forward there.
Yep. Consensus moving forward?
Yes. And are we doing asphalt? Are we talking?
Yeah.
Only keeping it, okay.
Okay.
Cheaper route.
All right.
Do we still have to eliminate some of them because we're running out of funds? That's what I had a question about.
If we went with the concrete, we definitely would eliminate. So they got over almost near $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah, it was 230,000 for the one and 500 for the other. So you're about 750 or 800,000 that we would have to take off that of the bottom line, I guess. If we're already running heavy on the streets that the projects that we're doing. So it's just going to allow you guys to do more water main work and new more hit more areas of the city.
So we won't have to drop any of the streets.
You'll probably still, since we're adding some storm sewer and sanitary sewer to these water funded projects, the bids are coming in and the project coming in a little bit more than was originally anticipated. The good thing is for you guys though, the state is allowing you guys to use that water fund for storm and sanitary improvements under these roads. Normally that does not happen. So usually you get a water fund, you can change out the water main. And that's always your dilemma. You change out the water main, but you got to leave the sanitary sewer that's 90 years old underneath the street. So this is a really good, they really provide you guys a lot of flexibility on changing out everything while we're there.
No, that's awesome. But I'm just trying to understand what streets we're going and how we decide which ones we'll eliminate. It's just the bottom ones that slide.
I will tell you right now, just the way this is set up from top to bottom. Division Columbus is already underway, so you already have that. Green and Edwards is your two next awards right now. Colfax has other state fundings, and that design is underway. McAllister, that design is underway, so it's we don't want to start design on something if we know that we're not going to be doing it. The East Britain High Street and Vineyard is well underway as well. So it would be the Superior and Ogden, Monroe, Nolan and Winans. And we definitely will still utilize the 26 million plus anything you have, or I'm not sorry, the 26 to 21. It's just a matter of maybe reallocating. Maybe you can't do 3 blocks, maybe you got to do 2. So yeah, this is something that we're still, like I said, I want to be transparent and let you guys know what this is going on pretty much once a month or so. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess my question was similar to Ms. Fields. Like, just how do you rank? How do you rank that? And
Yeah. So the way this really shook out was Division, Columbus, Green and Edwards, and May and Monroe. When we,
can I clarify
yeah.
the question? Is there an official ranking?
Well, I could probably because I pulled when we went after the funds for the state. We used the water reliability study that the city passed before and the water asset management plan. And so we combined those together. A couple things that we did target these was the location of where they were at with maybe what you guys have just done with local streets, you know, and we wanted to try to avoid repaving a road twice. The other thing on Division, Columbus, Green and Edwards, and those had your smallest water mains and really inefficient hydrant flows and conditions. So those were really targeted, like number 1, number 2, number 3. Colfax was moved up the list because the city received actual MDOT federal dollars for that. So most of that street's going to be replaced by the state of Michigan for the road funding, but we need the water funding to pay for the water work. McAllister was another road that we prioritized high because of hydrants, the size and location, the age of the main, and that's going to be a big chunk of McAllister there. And then the East Britain, High Street, and Vineyard is all on the east side of town where it connects to Fair Avenue. And MDOT is coming in 2026 to reconstruct Fair Avenue. So we wanted to get in there before they did so that they had good water mains to connect to with their improvements. So you kind of strategically put those in based on what might be going on, what might be going on. It's kind of an asset management scoring list, and project priority with maybe what other projects are happening. So those kind of all that's how we put those together. It's not locations and things. It's just, these were the top ones that had bad hydrant flow, 4-inch old mains, stuff that we saw during the lead service replacements that like, yeah, these are items that we want to address as soon as we can. Yep.
Thank you.
All right, the meeting is adjourned till February the 14th.
You got one more person that have a serious question that need to be asked about this project.
You talk to Mr. Jason if he wants to.
I beg your pardon? What are you mumbling about, Chair?
Yeah, you said you had a question for Jason?
Yeah, but I want it to be public so everybody can hear it.
Well, public comments already been over.
You can't be having a presentation and no comment. Well, go ahead, do your thing. Remember this, guys. Do your thing.
Follow the agenda.
You can't have